right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening once again, everyone, and thank you for joining me here in the Fan Cave. Bob Pompeani with you until 11 o'clock tonight at 412-575-2600. Hit me up on X. It's at KDPomp. We have a lot to get into today, and a program note for you. Join us tonight for the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. That's every Sunday night. It'll be on about 15 minutes later today because of the extended coverage of the Masters won by Rory McIlroy. I'd love to hear your impressions of that. Always fun to watch over the weekends. Especially when you get to Saturday and Sunday. That's when things change quite a bit, and we saw it yesterday when Rory McIlroy had a 6-shot lead. It's hard to play with that kind of a lead. It just is on that golf course. You don't want to make major mistakes, but in doing so, you may talk yourself out of being aggressive, which is what got him to 6 shots in front in the first place. And today he fell out of the lead by 2 early on. He took a double bogey on number 4. Next thing you know, he's looking up at Cameron Young. But Young couldn't do much after that. Back 9, didn't make 1 birdie, and when you do that, you're pretty much staying where you are. It invited Rory to go back and top of him, and he did, with birdies at 12 and 13. Beautiful shots there. And while that was going on, Scotty Scheffler was really putting on a second 9 tear down there. He got on at 15, 16, almost made birdie at 17. Didn't make any bogeys over the last 2 days. The problem with him is that he shot 74 in round 2 and put him 12 off the lead. He dug all the way back, finished by himself in second place, 1 shot behind Rory McIlroy. Back-to-back championships for him. And again, he's joining a very exclusive club to do that. Nicklaus did it, Tiger Woods did it, and it's not easy to do down there at Augusta. We'll talk about that, but we'll also talk about the Penguins. Your thoughts on what they did over the weekend. They did not play most of the players you wanted to see on Saturday against Ovechkin in Washington. Today, some of those same guys did play. Listen, the Penguins are interested in keeping everybody healthy as best they can. They also know they have quite a bit of a layoff coming up because the game on Tuesday night does not matter, and I suspect you'll see a bunch of people that are going to come up for Wilkes-Barre-Scranton to play in that game. Maybe we'll see Miroshov as well. It's against the St. Louis Blues. They're out of it. It's a 9:30 game for some reason, and so they have nothing to look forward to except their first-round opponent, which, by the way, is getting a little bit crowded. And because of the way the Capitals beat the Penguins twice this weekend, they're 1 point behind the Flyers. Washington has 1 game left against Columbus. Philadelphia has 2 games left, and they have 1 point more, but they're playing Carolina tomorrow night and then Montreal after that. 2 teams that have very good point totals and still have something to play for. Carolina not so much, unless they're looking at the #1 overall seed. But, you know, bottom line is I'm not sure how Carolina's going to approach that game. They're still winning a lot of games and using most of their regulars. Tomorrow may be a different case, but the money odds would be on Pittsburgh, Philadelphia in the first round, but Washington could sneak in. Columbus lost tonight. That wasn't good for them. Islanders lost. They're out of it, I would think now. So that's how it's going to shape up moving forward. Your thoughts on that? 412-575-2600. And also the Pirates and O'Neal Cruz. Who would have thought that he'd have the best numbers against any left-hand pitcher in the majors, as he does right now? He's 8 for 16, batting .500 against left-hand pitching. It got so good for him that yesterday he was intentionally walked by a left-hander. That is rare, if at all. I don't know if it happened before or not. It may have one other time, but man, that's a sign of respect and a sign that O'Neal Cruz is really developing good habits at the plate against either righties or lefties. So they lost that game, had a 5-0 lead, a 6-2 lead, and then the bullpen collapsed. Justin Lawrence once again had some problems. Then Urquidy in the 9th inning got the bases loaded and gave up the Carson Kelly walk-off hit to right center field. So we have a lot to get into. Want to hear from you on that. Pirates return home. They have Washington and then Tampa Bay this week at home. And then after that, it's the NFL Draft. We'll get into all these topics and more. Call us right now at 412-575-2600. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, a show we do 7 nights a week. We're right here on KDKA Plus and most nights 93.7 The Fan. All right, welcome back. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night, and it comes from the Masters, and Rory McIlroy wins his 2nd green jacket, which means next year he's going to have to fill out that dinner menu again on Champions Dinner Night on Tuesday of Masters Week. 412-575-2600 is the number to call. And by the way, the Blue Jackets, by losing 3-2 to the Bruins tonight, that means Philadelphia tomorrow against Hurricanes, if they win in any fashion, they're going to clinch. If they lose in a shootout or any of that nature, Columbus is eliminated. Washington stays alive. But again, if they win tomorrow, they would be the opponent for the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first round of the playoffs, beginning either Saturday or Sunday. However, if they lose, Columbus would be eliminated, but Washington remains alive. So we'll see. It's going to go down to the final game of the season. 412-575-2600 is that number to call. A lot of full boat of calls here, so let's get right to it, beginning with Jim in Green Tree. Hello, Jim in Green Tree. How are you?
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
All right, what's up?
Hey, the Pirates right fielder, Ozima, they're paying this guy $14 million a year, and he ain't even batting 100.
$12 million, and he doesn't play outfield. He's a DH, but yes, they're paying him a lot. And listen, the only thing I'll tell you on that one is that Ozuna, like a lot of people right now, are off to terrible starts. If you look around the league, Fernando Tatis is one of the best hitters in the game. I think his average going into yesterday was 151. A lot of guys have struggled, and it takes a while for them, and I'm not making excuses. It's just the way it is. However, if we got into July and August and you saw one of these guys go into a slump like this, you wouldn't notice it as much. So for a guy like that, I'm going to give it some time. He still doesn't look right in the batter's box, but he is making $12 million a year, and because of that, he needs to kick that up. The good thing about the way things are going for the Pirates right now, Ozuna's not hitting. Catchers collectively aren't hitting that much. Griffin at short isn't hitting that much, and still they're 9-6. Things have got to change that way. We'll see what happens when it does. Joe in Moon Township is our next caller right here on the Nightly Sports Call. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Bob. Good show.
Thanks.
Looks like Pittsburgh sports are going to be pretty good this spring and summer. I want
Hopefully,
to talk about pitch
into the
counts.
fall, too.
Yes, I want to talk about pitch count specifically. How did Bob Friend and Fern-in-law and Harvey Haddock survive going 9 innings more? Again, this pitch count is killing us. And again today, when I saw this happen, he pulled our starter. As soon as I saw Barco and Lawrence come in, game over. And he did this to Skeens last year. He pulled
Well, listen.
Well,
I get all that, but there are times I don't agree with it, and I didn't agree with it on his past homestand when Mitch Keller had 75 pitches and was pitching a shutout through 6 innings. He's a 30-year-old pitcher who's been around for a long time. He's a veteran. They expect him to go 35 starts. They expect him to throw 200 innings. 75 is not that much. I would have kept him out there is what I'm trying to tell you. Not every situation is the same. The bullpen has been good at times. It also has had, problems at times. And normally it's the middle of the relief that gives you the problem. So, yeah, I'd like to see starters go longer, especially when they're in, doing a pretty good job. And I think Keller this past week was doing that in his weekday game. Let's go to another Joe. We're having a run on Joes here. Joe in Verona. Hello, Joe.
Hey, Bob, that's my concern, man. Kelly's starting to really bother me. I'll tell you why. You talked to me many times. I'm old school. But I read the box scores, and like the other night, Glass, he threw 100 pitches, and he gave up 6 runs, so he wasn't on a 2-hitter. And another pitcher in the same game, 99. Then I see 98 yesterday, 92, 97, 85. And then I see Keller, 75, and Ashcraft yesterday, 77. Kelly can't do that. I'll tell you why. June and July, there ain't going to be no relievers. They're going to all have dead arms. He got to start getting some guts and let these guys go 7 and 8 innings. What's his problem? Why is he?
Well,
so
I think, Joe, it's all about just trying to manage innings. So the young guys, especially, again, I don't put Keller into that situation. He's a veteran. I would expect him to go longer. And yeah, you can burn out a bullpen. There's no question. When some of these games start piling up, if your starter's going well and he's still in the game and he's in control of it and the pitch count's not that high, you let him go. I would expect guys, as we go into May, to go 100 pitches. They should be at that point. I mean, they've been in training camp since February. By May, you should be ramped up to that number, especially if you're doing a pretty good job in games. Back to the lines, we got Chuck in Uniontown who joins us. Hey, Chuck, how are you?
Good evening, Bob. Thanks. Once again, I think first of all, I think today's devastating loss in Chicago, I think unlike past years, they'll bounce back from this. I think this year is markedly different from previous years. I think they're resilient with Skeens on the mound tomorrow night. I have a feeling that they'll bounce back, and we hate to lose like this, but this team is different. They'll bounce back. But anyway, the starters, they're going to have to extend them because otherwise the bullpen will be comatose by Memorial Day and dead by the 4th of July.
Yeah, I think that seems to be a recurring theme, Chuck, and I would agree that you got to let starters go unless they just don't have it. That's a whole different story. But if you're taking him out and the pitch count seems to be reasonable and you're still involved in the game and the guy's pitching okay, I disagree. I'd let him go a little longer. All right, we're out to Jake in Green Tree. Jake's on the hotline right now. Hey, Jake.
Hi, Bob. Keep the ball rolling here with the Pirates and their bullpen. I've said this before to you, I believe, that if they're going to win, if the key to them winning and being a contender this year, that bullpen has to be better. I mean, no doubt what we've seen so far. And what really bugs me is the number of bases on balls. You got to throw that ball more consistently over the plate. They're walking too many men. In fact, they did this last year way too much. And again, it's coming around again. They're walking a lot of people, but they're not getting the key. They're just not getting the key performances from their bullpen.
Well, they are and they aren't. There are some days they are. I think Santana's been largely pretty good. Now, he gave up a run the other day. I think Ramirez fought himself out of a jam the other day. Montgomery has good stuff if he puts it where he has to. I'm going to give that time a little bit, but I think what would make their lives a little easier is if pitchers go longer into games. I think that's the goal, and we'll see how it goes moving forward. Tomorrow, Paul Skeens is on the mound. I expect him to go deep into the game tomorrow night. Dave is in Cecil, and now he's on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Hey, Dave.
Hey, thank you. I'm going to talk about the Penguins. My big concern is the number of shorthanded goals they've given up this season. 12 already. That's far too many.
Yeah, it's second only to Colorado, which is not good. I mean, Colorado and Pittsburgh both have scored a lot of goals, so that helps. But yes, you cannot do that. Special teams in these kinds of series are killers. They'll either help you or kill you. And so, yeah, you can't do that. I think, a lot of times that's happened late in power plays of the ones that they've been on, and they give up goals. It seems like it's after the first minute and a half of it, late into those. I'd have to check how many fit that category, but it's too many for sure. But largely, their special teams this year have been better than I think a lot of people thought. They've been riding a pretty hot power play throughout the course of the year. Sure, there have been some ups and downs, but it was top 5 for a long time. And the penalty killing, once Lizotte gets back, I think will ramp up to where it was. Tom in North Versailles is on the hotline right now. Hey, Tom, what's going on?
Hi, how you doing, sir?
Good, how are you?
Jackie, you got on.
That's my Masters, sort of Masters. Can you tell there's Masters flags on this tie? I like to do it for this occasion.
Excellent. Only thing I'm thinking about the Pirates, they're doing pretty great. They just need a good closer. That Santana, I just don't like him. I don't know. I mean, they're playing tough. They could have won today. All the stupid mistakes they did, but on Saturday they took it in extra innings because of Santana.
Well, that was the one time, though. I think if you look at his numbers largely, he has been very good. I have no problem with Dennis Santana whatsoever. I think Soto and Santana will be good as this season rolls on. I do. His numbers, if you go back, are better than what David Bednar was doing when he was here, better than all closers that have come before him, Mark Melancon included. So, the bottom line is just give it some time. But if you put him out there in close situations, I guarantee he's going to be better most nights than not. So I think it's a little bit early to tell. Again, we're only 15 games into the season. If you think of it in context of an NFL season, there are 17 games in the NFL season. This would be like playing one NFL game. We're assessing an entire season based on 15 games, which is why when O'Neal Cruz had his bad beginning that first day in New York, people were just throwing everything criticism, and that's fine, except it was one game. He made some blunders. I think he's gotten better defensively since then, and certainly his offense has gotten better. Sometimes you got to be patient with these things. You really do, especially over 162. It is a long haul. I think Ozuna just needs some time. He'll get it together. He better. You need more offense from Griffin. But I give Griffin all the time he needs. He's a very good defensive player. I think we've seen that. He'll eventually hit, but he's got to go through ups and downs as a young 19-year-old. So, again, patience in baseball I think is very important. I think Don Kelly understands that, too. He's done a good job of putting that into how he assesses players and how they're developing. We need to take a break. We'll do that, and we'll still take more calls on the other side of it. So call 412-575-2600. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here in the city of Pittsburgh. As it stands right now, these would be your first round playoff matchups for the NHL. Buffalo and Boston. Boston now has emerged as the #1 wild card team, so they would move ahead of Ottawa, and they would take on Buffalo. You'd also have Montreal versus Tampa. That would be a 2-3 matchup. Montreal second in the Atlantic, Tampa Bay has fallen to third, so Montreal gets home ice. Carolina and the Ottawa Senators. Senators are the second wild card. They go up against Carolina, number one team in the Metro. And then you'd have the Penguins and Flyers, the Battle of Philadelphia. I think a lot of people want to see that one, but the Flyers have some good young talent, and Dan Vladar in goal has been very good for them of late. And that's going to be a key, of course. And I expect Stuart Skinner to ride most of these games here to start the playoffs for the Penguins. In the West, Colorado and the LA Kings. And we saw Andrei Kopitar last night say goodbye in his final season. He's going to have a final playoff. The Kings will be there as the second wildcard team. Dallas will take on the Minnesota Wild. This may be the best first-round matchup of any of them. Dallas has a lot of talent. They also have very good goaltending with Ottinger. And, of course, Minnesota, Billy Guerin has put together quite a team there. He's got some high flyers, 2 40-goal scorers on there with Kirill Kaprizov and Boldy as well. Both those guys in the 40s, I believe. Vegas will take on the Utah Mammoth. They're going to qualify for the playoffs, and Vegas changed coaches, and now John Tortorella's got them going. I think they've won 5 straight games since he's behind the bench. Edmonton and Anaheim. Watch out for the Anaheim Ducks. Edmonton has struggled. Their goaltending problems continue to be. Tristan Jarry lost his job, and so now Anaheim has a good amount of young talent. They're playing extremely well, and Joel Quenneville is in the running for Coach of the Year, although I think it should be Dan Muse. Those awards will be coming out too sooner rather than later. I think Muse should be Coach of the Year. I really do, considering where they were at the start of the season, at least perception-wise, and where they've ended up. And Kyle Dubas, man, so many great things he's done, starting with hiring Dan Muse. A lot of people wondered who that was, but he knew what he's doing. Great developmental record, and he's done a very good job rolling 4 lines here. His belief in that has not wavered, no matter who's in or out of the lineup, and that's a good sign. Dubas brought in Chinikov. He brought in Soderblom. He also signed Mantha, who had 32 goals this year, signed Brazeau. So many things he's done. Parker Wotherspoon, you don't hear a lot about him, but he's been outstanding defensively on the top pairing with Erik Karlsson. And Muse's ability to get whatever out of Karlsson that Sullivan was not able to get is pretty stunning as well. So Penguins look like a very good team, one that can win a playoff series for sure. I think if they get to the next round and it's Carolina, that could be a problem. But first things first, you take care of that first opponent. And right now it looks like it's going to be Philadelphia. That's going to do it for us. Thank you for joining me tonight. We'll do it again tomorrow night and every night, 7 nights around the week here at 412-575-2600. Tonight at 11:45, it's the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Andrew Filipponi, Jeff Hathorn, Mark Cabali on the program. We hope to see you there. And stay tuned for KDKA News at 11, which starts at about 11:16 tonight. Good night.